Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. Weekly verdict. JML, Fire Frank, uh, Charlie on assignment again this week. We miss you. Hope everything is well. Love you. Um, lot of wrestling news. We had to do a emergency um, recording. The other what was that on Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah.
It's been a crazy week in professional wrestling, so much so that it carried over to the UFC. Before we dive deep, I want to thank everyone. We are over 600 subscribers on our way to, 650, 700 and beyond. That is awesome. I say this almost every show. Like, I never expected more than a couple people to watch and view these programs, and I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. Frank does as well, and Charlie. We all echo the same sentiment. With that being said, let's just take a few seconds before we start the show to like this video because we know people are watching. We want to get the likes up. And so we're going to take about 10 seconds of silence here and hit that like button. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for hitting that like button. You guys rock. All right. Speaking of rocking, this weekend in professional wrestling, well, not this weekend, last weekend.
Busy.
Tony Khan, apparently he felt like Jim Crockett. That was something he said. We never spoke about that. He was very, very upset about all these wrestling shows being booked on the same weekend that he had solo for the last couple of years. I'll bring up that quote when we do our tweet of the week segment that we do, or Tony Khan's crazy talk segment. It was a really solid weekend of professional wrestling. Clash at the Castle was very entertaining. I'll be predictable. I think we'll just start with the main event and we'll just gloss over the entirety of the card. We're not going to dive that deep into each match. It's just impossible. We'll be here for 4 hours talking about everything. And we have a lot more to do. We have a baseball show to go over after this as well. So we have a lot on our plates right now. But we love doing this. Clash at the Castle, main event. Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns. I don't know where people had this idea in their heads of Drew winning the belt.
Right. Yeah, I don't know either. There was like some, the wrestling rumor sites the week before were like, well, there's been some talk about doing some different things, and Triple H is receptive to it. But again, other than okay, we're in the UK, we're not in Scotland, we're in Wales, we're close to Drew's home. It's a big stadium. Yeah, it would be a cool moment, but I didn't think. I'll put it this way: I didn't think that was possible at all. Although I did for about 3 seconds when they had that crazy near fall towards the end.
Yep.
They got me there. And it's okay. The match did feel like when it was coming out, the big entrances, big epic feel. For like you said, it's predictable show. It's kind of like a in your house B show type show. Just happens to take place in a giant stadium with a rabid crowd. But I can't say that I expected a title change, nor did I think they should do one.
No, I applaud them for adding another member to the bloodline. It just made sense. Solo Sequoia now part of the bloodline, as we saw on SmackDown.
Yeah, it was a matter of time. We've been talking about
it. Yeah, he just needed to get his feet underneath him, I think. And we know the pedigree. I mean, obviously, that bloodline runs incredibly deep. And it just makes sense for him to be coached along on the main roster with his brothers and his cousin. So that was a great move to introduce him. It was kind of similar to, and I hope this doesn't happen, Remember, like Randy Orton and John Cena when they had Legacy, and one of the DiBiase brothers like
Oh, yeah.
randomly showed up.
Brett DiBiase, yeah, he
Yeah,
showed
and then you
like
never heard from Brett DiBiase after that.
It was like they announced the next night on Raw. They said, "Oh, that's my brother," and he said, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it." And that was the last time you saw him because I think he got released after that. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be that after watching SmackDown last night and the way they hyped it up all week.
Yeah,
For someone that wasn't even really being on screen mentioned who he was related to, even though everybody knew and people were chanting "Uso" at him for months, but I thought it was pretty cool. A lot of people may not know, and that's fine. In the minute right there, Michael Cole perfectly described that's Uso's brother. Right? If you never seen him before, he looks like them. I thought it was kind of a cool the way they kind of double swerved it. You had the fake cash in, which I wasn't shocked to see there. Tyson Fury knocking out Austin Theory, which in the perfect timing there.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah,
Tyson Fury knocking out Austin Theory.
Austin Theory, yes, Austin Theory. He does have a first name again, folks.
I hate Austin.
So we had that after the ref bump. Then we had a really ridiculous near fall, like Drew right after that. I bid on that. And then we had him actually hit a proper Claymore. And then at the very last second, Solo pulls the ref out. Great timing. Great camera work because you didn't even see him coming. Great reaction by the crowd.
It was the whole night. The crowd was into it.
I know there's people complaining, "Oh, it's not a clean finish," but I mean, honestly, it kind of was because he didn't lose because of Solo. He just didn't win in that moment.
Yeah,
Roman still had to actually spear him to win. The only bad thing obviously was the weird post-match stuff, which people can't seem to wonder if that was supposed to be on air or not. But I think I don't know. But as far as the match, the result, it was well done, a good debut. He made him seem like a big deal right away, being, inserting himself into the main event.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that we get Tyson Fury and Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel.
That's what I was thinking right away. They're doing something here. And then, him and Drew are singing. I was wondering if they were going to do something with him and Drew. Well, I guess we'll see.
I think that's over. I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, I think it's sailed. But Hunter was saying, after in the press conference afterwards, he was just saying, whenever he wants to do something, we'll talk.
A quick sidebar here. Obviously, we had Braun Strowman return on Monday.
Right.
He's a part of SmackDown, actually. He's on the SmackDown roster.
Yeah.
Do all signs point to Braun Strowman being a challenger to Roman as well again?
You would think. I don't know if I would do that right away, but I mean,
is he a possibility for Crown Jewel if they don't have Fury?
He could be. I mean, they have history. They have a long history, obviously, together, going back to the Wyatt family days, even. But yeah, he could be. I don't know if you want to have him lose like right away. He just came back. I don't know if you want to build him up a little bit. The crowd did responded well to him both shows this week, so he's in great shape.
Tremendous shape. Like he's not like he's like the perfect
cut now. Like he's not even like overly bloated. He's just cut perfectly, and he's got weird red pants, but I'm sure he'll find some cool gear. In fact, last night they gave him kind of a remix theme song, which I wasn't really a fan of, but at least they got rid of the train sound effects.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
I mean, say what you will about him, the guy, he gets reaction, he looks good, and he can handle himself in the ring. He's not, a 5-star worker, but with the right guys, he can have some good matches. We've seen him in the past. I like to see, him and Gunther going one-on-one.
He's clearly a WWE superstar through and through.
Which is why I don't think nobody picked him up, or he didn't want to go anywhere else, because he knew the only place that would properly use him was WWE. And Triple H knows exactly what you got to do with a guy like that.
Yep, that's why
you need guys like that on the roster. If people don't like it or not, maybe they'll get some flames in the comment, But yeah, you need somebody like that. I don't have a problem with him. He's an entertaining guy. They messed around a lot with his booking when he was champion and all that stuff, but that was 2 years ago. Fresh start.
And that was the pandemic.
Yeah, it was a tough time. He kind of had to fill in there when Roman was out. But yeah, there is some unfinished business there, obviously. So we're probably going to get that match sooner than later.
Yeah. I mean, because at this point with Roman, who's left?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously he's not going to be in this next show. I don't think he'll do Crown Jewel, but maybe against Braun, maybe against Cross. Maybe they'll do some kind of triple threat or something. But after that, yeah, where are we going to go? I think you sent me something the other day about doing him and Seth at Survivor Series as kind of a fantasy idea. I don't mind that.
Yeah, especially if they're going to do like brand warfare.
Yeah,
And to be honest with you, if Braun Breaker is still part in the mix, why don't they just make it a triple threat?
you could. Hey, throw him into the water. I think he'd be okay.
Like, I would do champion versus challenger. I
Yeah,
mean, because obviously you can't do champion versus champion because you have undisputed titles.
right. So why not do kind of take a page what NXT just did with the UK guys and do kind of thing? I know they haven't taken it seriously, but this is a way to kind of tell people, hey, these are the big guys coming up soon. Even if you're not watching NXT anymore, look, watch these guys. Braun
Is
Breaker,
it is it clearly at this point Roman won't drop any of the belts until Cody comes back?
I would think so. What else you got? Unless they come up with some crazy idea. Unless there's even if Roman was injured, I don't think there would be a problem. Yeah. Who else would you build up to face him in Mania? I know we've talked about The Rock ad nauseum. There's no indication whether or not that's happening. But even if you did, why would you make that a title match? It doesn't really.
It doesn't need the title.
And if they don't do it this year, they can still do it a year later, and he doesn't have to be champion by then.
Yeah.
I just think that would be the whole thing with Rock. That's like you could do that at SummerSlam too. You don't have to do that at Mania. I know everybody wants to talk about that, but that's like the ultimate end of this character. Like that's the furthest he can go with the tribal chief character is to take on the previous generation's king of the family. Essentially.
Yeah.
So
and that's
as far as you can go because Roman at this point he's beaten everybody. He's not somebody has to beat him, and who's left? It's believable, as we said. That's the perfect spot for a Cody.
Yep.
To really put him over big, and also then you can move Roman. You could turn him organically. Fans already cheer for him. You can do something else with him since he's not going to be around as much. You can do a little dream matches here and there, which is fine.
You could do the Edge thing.
You can do the Edge thing, yeah. Why not? He's earned it. He's been on an incredible run the last 2 years. Whether people like it or not. Some of the best character work I've seen in decades in this company, essentially.
Yeah.
So,
I'm still on this theory, pun intended, that
yeah,
Cody wins, Theory cashes in, this cementing Theory as the ultimate heel, like in the vein of an Edge and Miz and the previous like great cash-ins.
Yeah,
and it also continues the McMahon versus Rhodes storyline because this was Vince's right-hand picked prodigal son in Austin Theory, cashing in on
his last
family member.
Yeah, on a Rhodes family member, and it would be Cody's first WWE title, so it would mean even more the cash in. Usually, cash-ins don't happen on somebody's first. Well, when they just won the title. Cena's first reign was ended by Edge, but that was after almost a year. I guess when Roman won the title the first time when Seth was injured, Sheamus did cash in on him, and they kind of did a rematch after that. But this would be more weight to it, like you said, the Rhodes storyline. It would just fit Cody's whole story arc.
Yeah,
and you could build to it like this whole redemption, him going to Mania, and then having to do a second redemption, maybe to SummerSlam or something like that. You have 6 months to a year, at least
it would be hot
worth of storyline right there.
Yeah,
really
building someone up.
Yeah,
who right now obviously they're not making him look like a credible threat for a reason.
It's how they book the case. They think they can heat anybody up, and they could. He's got real heat. People, the McMahon stuff, as weird as it was, did help actually establish him as somebody they should care about, whether they like or boo, as it were. And that's what you want. You want somebody that's going to get a real heel reaction. You don't want somebody that's internet favorite, and he's not. Even though he's because of that whole assumption that that's Vince's perfect guy, just like Roman. That was hurt. Roman was hurt by that because the minute he debuted, everybody's like, well, obviously that's gonna be the next big guy there that Vince is gonna love. So he's the last guy that can actually get that kind of rub with Vince going. So Might as well take advantage of it.
So here's my thing. When the Shield debuted and you took a picture of the Shield and you walked around
Yeah.
New York City and you said, hey, out of these three guys, based on physical appearance, who would you think would be the star? I would swear that it would be Roman Reigns to the average person.
Yeah.
So it's not just the Vince thing.
It's
It
just
is the outside the normal wrestling fandom thing.
what people see wrestlers to look like. Yeah. Or what they think in their head.
Oh, this happened too. This has happened so late in the game now that I was kind of over it. Dom Mysterio. We finally got it. I wish Charlie was here.
I know. I was thinking about him when this happened.
Let's talk about it a little bit there, Frank.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I know you said it was late in the game, but I think the way they built this story up, it made sense to do it right now. I know we could have done it sooner, but it just fit. The way he slowly was getting more frustrated. They teased it for months, but over the last month, him and Edge having a lot of just the way you look at him. I thought the way it was done was funny. The entire match, you could just see him not being happy. He helps them win. He get beat up. And what is Ray doing? He's going over to check on Edge while his son's standing there like, hey, I helped you guys. And he had this look on his face. He just doesn't want to look at Edge. And then it was perfectly timed. He just like turned, like he, in one motion, went over and just kicked a field goal.
And so
with his shoes flying off.
I call him Dom Mysterio because he's being a sub to Rhea.
Yes.
So he's being dominated.
I mean, people were talking about that for the last month or so, and you know that was obviously going somewhere. I'm not surprised. I think we discussed that. We thought it might happen at SummerSlam, but
and clearly, my hunch from the beginning is that she is the leader of Judgment Day.
Absolutely. I don't think you can deny that now, and I'm okay with that.
I think it's awesome. It's awesome. When have you ever seen a group led by a female with two males? That is.
Yeah, and she's not just a manager; she's out there taking charge.
Yeah,
and I love the way they tease the heat. Like she's beating people up, and she's like, "Come on, you to hit me!" And and that's instant heat because people know you can't do that WWE anymore. And she's aware; she's self-aware, which I like.
There was a photo online of Eddie in China, and then Dom with Ripley, and I was like, "Man," I was like, "That is awesome."
And it fits him because with him joining Judgment Day, he doesn't have to talk, which is obviously a weak point for him.
I think he should, though. I think he
should. I thought he was going the other night, but then he just came out. I mean, the tip off was the hair. He's been growing that mullet out, but now he comes out with it slicked back, a little gel in it, wearing all black, you know.
And he needs to lean into that Eddie thing eventually.
Yeah, I thought that's where, you know, before any of this happened, if we ever guessed a turn was going to happen, that's what we were going to expect. Because they can lean into history, even though it's been retconned, obviously, because at the time it was canon, but it's not anymore, but it kind of is. It was good timing since they just had the Ray biography on A&E, and Tom was talking about doing that whole story and all that.
So the pay-per-view or live event, whatever their premium live event was great.
Better. Yeah, premium live event was great. That's actually a better name because that's what it is. It's not a pay-per-view anymore. You're buying a service to get it, so that's how you would describe it.
Yep.
The show was good.
Seth was a banger. You would expect nonetheless. But
great finish on that one.
Probably match of the weekend.
Yeah.
Gunther.
IC
and
title.
Sheamus.
Got 5 stars by Dave Meltzer himself. We talked about in the last episode. He doesn't give WWE matches 5 stars often. Especially lately.
Incredible. I think it's only the 3rd or 4th 5-star match he's ever done for WWE.
And there's been 2 this year, I believe, which is kind of so what's going on. But yeah, that was just, and it's not your typical 5-star match. It's just 2 big, strong guys beating each other. Actually, it was mostly Sheamus taking a beating for at least the first half of the match, fighting back. I mean, those chops.
So at this point, would you say The Miz Has the Miz been overseas yet since the pandemic?
Trying to think. Did he do Saudi? He was in the chamber, right? Wasn't he in the chamber? He was at that show at least.
So the only thing I found weird, and I get it, maybe they didn't want to have the U.S. title defended overseas, but the fact that they didn't have Lashley
Lashley and Miz at the show
at the show was kind of weird.
They saved it for Raw. I didn't think it needed any more matches. They had 6 matches. They still went over 3 hours. I didn't think it needed
I'm just alluding
more.
to maybe Miz isn't vaccinated, and that's why.
Oh,
they didn't.
He did do. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure he's been at the Canada shows.
Well, someone in the comments, let us know. I'm sure someone's smart enough to let us know.
There's a lot of that going on. People assuming who's where, who's not, whatever. This is not a health pod.
No. I was just trying to figure out why the US title.
Why wasn't he? Yeah. It was strange. They booked that cage match for Raw.
Titles are being built up again.
Yeah, you're right. It was a good point. They didn't build anything up for. And then they did a big cage match on Raw, which is odd for this feud but it made sense in the sense that Miz was nervous about outside interference and it happened anyway. Yeah, it's a good point. I didn't even think about that. The fact they put an IC title match, which hasn't been defended on a premium live event since last year.
And a 5-star match.
It was 5 stars. I mean,
granted, it's the mind of one person, but
yeah, I would give it that too. I don't think I agree. That watched it was like, wow, that was.
What did he give Braun Breaker and Tyler Bate?
I think he gave it at least 4.5, something like that.
How is that not a 5-star match?
I don't know.
I
gotta watch it again. I was a little distracted when I watched it, but it was very close to being one for my initial viewing.
So Worlds Collide for me, the Hayes and Ricochet match that was as advertised.
Yeah, Hayes
every match was solid.
Yeah,
but really for me it was the true coming out party for Braun Breaker, and he had the perfect dance partner in Tyler Bate who made him look like $1 million. I don't think we speak enough about how remarkably strong and talented Tyler Bate is for his size. He was literally at points of that match lifting Braun Breaker up with ease. Incredible performance by both parties. Bravo to them.
For sure, man. Braun obviously gets better every time we see him. It's only coming up on a year of his anniversary.
This is his he's literally on the job training,
and he's not failing.
No,
and obviously,
if there's another dark horse in taking the title off of Roman, you have to put Braun Breaker in the equation.
Depending on when they bring him up and depending on how he gets over with the main roster crowd, but he's got all the talents. He's got his father. He's got his uncle. He can talk. He looks good. He can work with. He can be brought up to the standards of better people in the ring with him too. And he can hang with them, which is good. Obviously, Bate is just underrated, like you said, probably because of the fact that he's been on either NXT or on the UK roster for so long. But since the beginning, since that first tournament, this guy really stood out. He was only 19, I think, when that happened.
Yeah.
He's only about 24, 25 now. Stronger than a lot of guys bigger than him. And he can work with anybody.
He's the guy I think he needs to get rid of the trunks.
Yeah, probably.
I think he needs to go to the long pants.
And as a lot of people were complaining about, he's grown this long hair since the pandemic. I don't know if that works for him, but I like the mustache when he had it. But yeah, he probably does need some kind of long trunks. Would help him. He needs
some personality in terms of like the ring gear stuff.
Yeah, it's very basic. It's very British. Obviously, what we've seen with Pete Dunne.
We don't need to Nickelodeon him up on NXT 2.0, but we certainly need to shake him up a little bit.
Yeah. I'm glad he's sticking around though. Now it looks like so that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, he could be a star. Obviously, we said I always bring up Carmelo Hayes because I think he's a future star. He's a star now. I think he's ready now for a main roster run if they want to bring him up, but I don't think they would do it just yet. But
I don't think it's too crowded with the new people that people they've brought back, so to speak.
Yeah, I think they'll be a little more strategic of who they're calling up when. We had, I don't know, last night with Toxic Attraction showed up on SmackDown for a tag match. I don't know if they're actually being called up or if that was just a one night thing. I don't think you want to overload too many new people.
No,
but
I mean, because we got plenty of time. Came back. You have Braun Strowman. You have Dexter Lumis, Gargano.
You got some big names at both shows, so that's good. No, they've got plenty of time, and they'll bring him up when the time is right. And hopefully Hayes. Hopefully they bring him and Trick Williams up. I think they're a great duo. Trick has improved a lot. He's a guy that started from scratch.
Yep.
He can talk. He's learning. So this NXT 2.0, while not everybody's cup of tea, has actually produced some future stars here, and that's the whole point of this. So,
so then we're gonna go into Worlds Collide. Basically, led into All Out.
Right.
So here's my feeling. I've loved AEW, and I can't believe I put love and AEW in the same sentence. I've loved AEW over the past few weeks for a multitude of reasons. But I'm going to be honest. This pay-per-view, compared to the other All-Outs, is clearly the worst of the All-Outs that they've put together since the inception of the event. That's just my opinion. I
kind of disagree, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It didn't have the feel as of the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, I was at last year, so I really felt maybe that would help me feel even better. But yeah, it was definitely had a bigger feel last year. Some of these matches felt a little cold. Some great matches on the card.
Yeah,
a lot of matches on the card. We had about 15 matches, including the pre-show.
Yeah, you had 15 matches.
A little overkill there, Tony.
You had belts defended that were other companies' titles, like the AAA.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I don't understand: the AAA belts being defended in AEW, but wasn't there some sort of friction between the two companies with not working dates and stuff like that?
There was a problem with that a year ago to the Lucha Brothers, I want to say, or something. I know FTR has.
I think it was Andrade too.
Yeah, there's a problem with Andrade, I think, and yet they're defending these mixed tag team titles, which is insane that they have a title like that. But yeah, and they had that was like the third time those two teams faced off in the last week. I don't know what was going on. Like he's just thrown out there by himself. Or makeshift tag team with Ruby. I don't understand. What a year Ruby's had, huh?
She broke her nose again.
She broke her nose. She debuted last year at All Out. Big win, big pop. This year she's on the YouTube. 0 hour, losing and breaking her nose. So
now Hook defeated Angela Parker, Matt Menard with him. Man, I love those guys. It just reminded me of my fellow Italians, my fellow Goombas. I like it.
I like they're leaning into the Italian thing. No, I like those guys. I like them in their short NXT run when they were just kind of jobbers, but they would just do some funny segments backstage. They started a YouTube show just for the sake of it.
I like
personality.
I like the crossover with Action Bronson. So we're gonna get Action Bronson and Hook tagging at Grand Slam.
Pretty cool,
which is awesome. I'm a big fan of Damn It's Delicious.
Oh yeah, my father loves that show. I watch it a lot with him, so I had to tell him the other day, "Hey, guess who was on All Out? Who's gonna have a match?"
And unfortunately, Vice like crap the bed with the funding for that show, and then he has it on YouTube, but he doesn't do it as much, and it's only like 7 or 8 minute like mini episodes.
Yeah, but I would recommend anyone to watch that show. It's really entertaining. My funny story, my next door neighbors were actually on the show because they have a restaurant down. I forgot exactly where it is, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, he'll be at all.
Who was that one guy that was with Action Bronson on that show? He was like this. He had the slick back hair. He was mostly in like the first couple seasons.
I
He
think I know
wasn't
who you're
really in the
talking
last one.
Oh, yeah, I'm picturing him right now.
He was like on the record label, but he was like he was really annoying. Like really annoying. Oh man.
Use him.
Oh. I'll
Yeah,
think of
yeah, it's a pretty cool crossover though. If you got someone who's well known and he's a huge wrestling fan, you might as well use him. He does Hook's theme song, so it makes sense. It sounds like a fun match for Grand Slam, which I'll be attending, so that'll be fun to see live, I'm sure.
And did anyone in the world think Kip Sapien was going to return and beat Pac for or Pac for the? I don't even know.
Can someone explain to me Kip Sapien in general, his existence? He's been doing this for over a year. This weird thing with the boxing head. We saw him at Grand Slam outside last year, and my friend goes, "That's Kip Sapien." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh yeah, he's doing this thing on Dark or something." Like, why?
I think if anyone should go to WWE, it would be him and Penelope. I think they
could work. Yeah, you're right.
If you brought them over to NXT, that would be a great package.
Yeah, they're just kind of lost in the shuffle here. I mean, you got a big roster. It's a huge roster. So people get lost in the shuffle. Yeah, nobody thought he was going to win that title that nobody cares about anyway. Hate to say
I call it the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, the Mid-Atlantic, because all Atlantic. I don't understand this title. It's a title, it's just something they gave to Pac. It's like, hey, Pac, you're never going to get any of the big titles. We're just going to give you this.
Yep.
Although he did get a second title this week.
Funny enough. Eddie Kingston also on the on the pre-show, he won. What were the standouts? I would say the opening match, casino ladder match with the Joker.
The ending was interesting. The match itself was kind of disappointing to me. It was just it felt like it was just starting to get going, and they went to this odd finish. Yeah, I mean, right away I think we both knew who that was coming out. It's pretty obvious, but I would say early standouts. Obviously, the trios finals. Obviously, the Bucks and Kenny against Hangman and Dark Order, and with Silver and Reynolds. That was a fun match. They got me a couple times on some of those near falls. Not surprising that they did have a good match, but
it's not. I think Reynolds and Silver are vastly underrated, and they've been lost in the shuffle for the last year or so.
I would agree. Those two guys are pretty good. I've watched them for years at the Indies and everything. They've always been cool. I remember when John Silver was in a tag team with Pat Buck. So far back I go. So yeah, it was nice to see them. I think Reynolds got hurt though, unfortunately, in that match. We've seen a lot of that, unfortunately, on Sunday. But fun match. Let's see, my other standouts. Tag title match, obviously, had a lot of heat.
Oh man, a lot of heat as well.
I mean, they were really into the. I think they should have done a switch there. I think sometimes AEW makes a mistake of waiting too long to do a title change.
But how
would they have known, I guess?
So sidebar here. How dumb was Nick Hausman when he asked Tony Khan in front of Swerve and Lee, hey, should you have called an audible there?
Yeah, that was a little weird that he said that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
How does he get credentials
to say that? I'm sure Tony wasn't thrilled.
If there's ever another media scrum after this, you and I should be invited.
Yeah, if that's the case, because I think we'll ask better questions. We won't insult them with like insider terminology and act like a jerk. A lot of people did say that though, but they are building up to a rematch, and it makes sense, I guess. But it was pretty cool. The match itself is really good, especially towards the finish. They got really.
Yep, they gave them almost 23 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean,
some good false finishes. Who would have guessed these guys? I mean, I'm not surprised. I said when they turn face, they're going to be huge. And but who would have thought the thing that really got them over was Billy Gunn?
Well, not even the Billy Gunn thing.
Well, it's not really the Billy Gunn thing.
If we rewind, right? there was a point in time where Max Caster was on the internet hate list because of
Yeah.
the that rap thing where that it went totally awry
Yeah.
from and he got suspended to where they're at now. It just shows anything can happen.
Yeah. You're right. That might have that helped probably maybe rally people to his side. Oddly enough,
Yep.
I do think he's been very tame since then. Me and my friends joke about Tony Khan writing his raps now, but because they're kind of he approves them. Whatever. Who would have thought this one guy would cause the owner of the company to come out and publicly say, "I'm going to edit the YouTube shows from now on." I'm like, well, somebody should have watched it before they uploaded it. That's the problem. You don't have to be involved, Tony. Just gives me to watch it. For you. But yeah, they've come so far. They're selling tons of merch. They're hugely over. What I've learned in 30-something years of watching this stuff, it's not always the smartest ideas or the most thought out ideas that will get over. Sometimes it's as simple as a scissor. But,
so two things that I thought were really the low points of the show.
Okay.
Jade versus Athena. That clearly, like, they have Athena there, and it's not working out with Athena and AEW. Clearly,
I gotta be honest. I when she started NXT, I kind of dug her. I don't really anymore. She hasn't helped herself. I know it wasn't the match to put her in that it was going to make her look good with somebody as green as Jade, but she's like her personality. It's just her personality, like, actually makes me not want to cheer for her.
Yeah,
even though she's good in the ring.
Yep.
Her promos are getting more cringy. Her gear looks stupid. I don't know what she's supposed to be. I don't know. Jade, I mean, while getting better, she's still very limited. They protect her very well. I don't mind her having this little push with the mid-card women's title, but this wasn't it. After they built this up for like 3 months, and it was a 4-minute flop of a match.
And then after what was the makings of a huge feud between Christian and Jungle Boy, how the F? I'm just very close to me dropping the F-bomb. How can you botch a storyline as much as they botched this one?
Yeah, not even taking into account what would happen in this match, and I understand there's an injury situation here, but if that's the case, why are we putting Christian over in a cheap way if he's going to be gone for 9 months?
Luchasaurus #1.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with him.
Here's my thing. Remember, I was like, man, his presentation's like Kane. That's cool. Don't make him have face and heel turns like Kane as well.
Exactly my thoughts. I'm going to guess this was like a last-second decision because they knew Christian wasn't going to be able to wrestle the match, so they wanted to do something, transfer the feud.
At this point,
I don't know why they even turned him backface again. It didn't make any sense.
At this point, if I see Jungle Boy on AEW television as Jungle Boy, I'm going to flip out. He needs to get rid of the Jungle Boy moniker at this point.
Yeah, he needs a whole new
then this storyline would make sense. Like, he went from a boy to a man after this storyline.
Yep. He's got to change his presentation. I know that's all over, but, at some point, if he wants to take the next step,
he can't be the little Tarzan guy anymore.
No. Right. It's okay to have, he doesn't need to be that. I know we're saying this, that he's got to be serious so he can fight the human dinosaur, but, it's wrestling.
I like the presentation with the black leather jacket and everything that he was wearing during his interview. I think that works for him.
Sure.
You know why? Because it reminds us of his father's character on 90210. And he looks like his dad, and he looks like his father. Play into it.
And let's be honest, that's a huge part of his appeal. I'm not saying that's the only reason people dig him, but come on. How could you not?
He's very talented.
He's very talented. Yeah. Not saying you don't deserve a chance here. I'm just saying, part of his appeal. Everybody loved his dad, so might as well play into it a little bit.
Yeah.
At least with the look-wise, like you said. Yeah, I don't know. Christian's apparently out now. I don't know when he got injured because he's had like 3 matches this year. If that,
great,
I don't
great
even get
job.
3.
Great job by Starks putting over Hobbs the way that he did.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking, but actually it made sense. He's
Yep.
hurt. He's coming in hurt. Might as well put over Hobbs because you got a nice mid-card heel push for him. He's a guy that should be a star.
Hobbs being built up. That's great.
Starks will be fine. He's going to be a top guy.
Whether it's in this company or another company.
Yeah, or another company. He's going to be a top guy somewhere. I thought so since I saw him in NWA Power a couple years ago. So he'll be fine. Hobbs should get a push, though. Hobbs is a...
I think we all expected Jericho Danielson to be a banger.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I mean, I don't know if it was the time of the show. I was getting tired by that. I was in the theater. I was almost falling asleep by this point. I'll be honest. It wasn't because of the match.
It was a banger. It was a banger.
I'm sure it was a fine match. I just didn't care about it.
Yeah.
And like Jericho going over doesn't make sense to me, but
it makes sense to me.
But I guess they're going to lead
the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah, and they're going to have a rematch next week now. Spoiler alert. So we'll talk about that later. So I'm okay with it now. At the time, yeah, it was a solid, good match. I mean, I'm not expecting them to have a bad match. They probably couldn't have a bad match if they tried. But for all we say about Jericho, he can still, when he wants to, he can still bring it in the ring.
I'll be honest with you, this is one of Jericho's best years he's ever had, and I think we say that a lot.
In ring, especially, yeah. Continuing
Darby's thinking Miro versus House of Black. Now, why do we have all these 6-man tag matches?
I don't know. That's what I was saying. Wait, do we have 3 6-man tags in this show?
2, 3. 2, 3?
No, it was 3, I think.
3. Because you had Wardlow and FTR.
Right.
Versus,
we didn't even talk about that match, which let's not even talk about.
Impact.
Right.
They really, at this point, Jim Crockett Jr., Tony Khan, he needs to take a page out of the WWE book and maybe do 2 nights with All Out.
Yeah, if he wants to weaken to himself, he might as well.
It's 15 matches on this card. You were fatigued for Danielson and Jericho that you didn't care about it.
Because this was coming on at 11 o'clock at night. What is it? Around 11 o'clock at night after I've just sat through 4 hours, plus the 2 hours Worlds Collide, plus, yeah, you're right. I don't know why he thinks you don't have to have that many matches. I saw somebody make a comment like, why are wrestling fans complaining you're getting more for your money? I'd be fine with 3 hours for the money.
Yeah.
If they're 3 solid hours. We didn't need that. Like you just talked, the other 6-man, the Wardlow FTR. Did that need to be on the pay-per-view?
No.
And I know the match meant nothing. It had a cool little moment at the end with Dax's daughter, but did that need to be on pay-per-view?
No. It was a dynamite match.
Honestly, even this House of Black, Darby, Sting, Miro thing, that could have been on TV too.
Well, I guess we'll talk about it for 2 minutes at this point. Malachi Black was given his conditional release. We don't know what conditional means other than it's conditional. Clearly, they dropped the ball with him. Clearly, he's also hurt, or he says that he was hurt. I think had he been booked properly, I don't think the back injury would have bothered him as much. I think he would have worked through it. But I think you couple in injury, ineffective booking. He's like, I'm tapping out here.
Yeah, I could see that. They were talking about maybe he was talking about wanting a mental break. I could see that. Obviously, he came in with huge momentum. He was like, they accidentally didn't give him the proper 90 days. So a month later, he shows up at Dynamite, immediately attacks Cody, immediately hot, squashes Cody, beats him again at last year's Grand Slam, loses to him, which is, I don't think it should have derailed him, but ever since then, they've literally have nothing interesting for him.
No, and now
they had him spreading mist in people, having a 7-year-old storyline with Julia Hart that went nowhere until she finally turned. He got a stable, which seemed just for the sake of having another stable, but they weren't clearly not going anywhere with that. They were just going to be in the trios mix. So
yeah, and now at this point, you got to wonder what's going to happen with Brody and Buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I mean, honestly, yeah, I don't know what this conditional means. Obviously, we know if he was able to sign elsewhere, there would be someone that would immediately be calling him. But
he'd be in WWE right now.
Right now. I mean, honestly, so would Buddy, probably. He was another Hunter guy.
Yeah.
So
And I actually think all of
yeah,
House of Black would end up.
The whole kind of presentation, I could see him. Hunter wanted to bring that in.
Probably not Julia.
Probably not, but you could definitely run that. But I guess we'll see how bad this back injury is. I know he had that match. A week ago, I saw him have a match in House of Glory. He looked okay to me, but
I'm telling you, it's not the bad back.
Not the bad back. Yeah, I agree.
He's too nice to just be forthright to go, and the booking sucks.
Yeah, you're right. Because even if you watch some of his streams after he got released, he was more trying to be very positive and didn't want to bury anybody. He's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know his wife is elsewhere, so that's another reason.
Yep.
So we'll see about him. I don't know what the condition is, but if it's just like some sort of non-compete, I don't imagine he's going to hold him to how many years he said he had left on the contract.
He's not going to hold it because he'd look worse than than Vince when he held back Brody Lee and FTR and all these other
Ali,
guys.
Andrade, whatever. Eventually released Andrade. I just don't know how long it is. If it's a 90-day thing, if it is a couple months, it's probably good for him. Take a break, heal up. Then you could think of some new stuff to do. But yeah, it's been a disappointing run after a nice debut, which unfortunately is a common
thread. It's been the case for a lot of these guys.
It happens when we talked about new guys coming back or old guys coming back on Raw and SmackDown, but when they're bringing them up, they haven't like de-emphasized other people because of them. They've used them to build other people. Whatever they're doing with Loomis, they're trying to build Miz, or they're building Ciampa. But yeah, I don't know. It's just
I think
he does. They have a good way of booking a great debut and then not following up on it. Seems to be their problem.
Well, when you only have one person apparently writing TV.
We got one person writing TV, editing the shows, doing press,
doing cocaine,
doing cocaine, negotiating, doing more cocaine,
doing media scrums,
looking like a fool.
So
people talk in front of them.
So we got CM Punk defeats Moxley. Talking about weird booking, right?
Yeah.
Like he got squashed and then comes back and wrestles a 20-minute match and beats Moxley.
Yeah, it was a little flimsy, the story. He said, whatever that promo was before that, I thought I was more injured than I was. I don't know what they were trying to say. It was not enough time. It was a week later. It's unfortunate they could have done this like 6 weeks ago and then had him off for like a month and a half before he came back. It would have felt better.
Yeah, it would have felt better.
I'm sure at this point they wish they didn't make this title change, clearly.
And then
he gets injured a minute.
MJF's the Joker.
MJF's the Joker, as we expected. Big pop.
No one talks about this. No one talks about All Out anymore, except us.
Right. I don't think anybody remembers there was a show last week.
The main event of the weekend, because people didn't even talk about Worlds Collide, and they didn't talk about Clash at the Castle.
No.
Everyone, even outside of the wrestling industry, we're talking about the media scrum of all media scrums.
Yep.
CM Punk unloaded. All right, and go back prior episode. We really deep dive into that portion of it. So we're not going to talk about it. Really, we're just going to talk about the parts that we didn't know at time of that recording.
Well, there was a part. Yeah, there was a part in that scrum where you saw Jericho leaning in, whispering something to Tony.
Yep.
Which pays off after the fact. But yeah, go ahead.
We all know that Punk is suspended, but not only is he suspended, he tore his tricep. So now he's out 6 to 9 months, right? That's the normal turnaround time.
Right. So either way here, they had to take the title off. There's no interim anything this time anyway.
Yeah.
probably would have
Yeah,
been.
there's no interim with that kind of injury.
And it wouldn't have been if there was no like controversy afterwards. We'd still be saying this. This is what the same thing that'd be going on. So
Yeah. So then we have so Punk
yeah,
suspended, whatever. I don't think he's gonna get fired. I think they're just gonna wait out the 6 to 9
let's see what
months.
happens. Yeah,
By that time, I honestly think he should just come back as a heel. It's
yeah,
the perfect opportunity for him to go 97 Bret Hart on this AEW crowd and just
sure.
light the world on fire. You know
Yeah,
how much money can be made right now?
yeah. Oh yeah, because he's got really like you got the internet who thinks they can't be worked, and this is while this is not a work, you can easily work them as the heel because people are against him right now. He's like organic heel.
And I get it. I get it. People aren't used to the transparency of big name athletes or
Sure.
actors, actresses, anyone in the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm.
And he was as transparent as you can be during that press conference.
Yeah.
And it brings polarizing views and opinions. Uh, the fallout from it is, I guess, the real question is there's two opposite directions of what really happened, right? You have the camp that says the elite politely knocked on his locker room door. You have the other camp saying they kicked down our door. It's somewhere in between
Somewhere in
is
between.
usually the truth, right?
Yeah.
I
From what we
believe
heard,
they barged into his locker room
sure. I can't say I blame
and
you.
7 on actually 1 at the time until Ace entered the locker room because his wife was in the locker room and he saw everything going on. You have Larry barking and being ferocious. Little Larry, CM Punk's dog.
It's like a
It,
sitcom here.
it
Kenny
it's
was just
funny,
trying to
the
protect
dog
the
doesn't
dog,
even end up
apparently.
biting someone. It's Ace Steel bites Kenny.
Kenny was just trying to
Apparently.
protect the dog. Kenny's as apparently according on one side, Kenny's just a protector of animals. Got bit, but not by the dog.
Nakazawa's in there, Cutler. It almost. I'm gonna be
Probably
honest.
getting beat up.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
What a joke.
It seemed like they were trying to film a Being the Elite segment, and Punk was like, "No, this is real life. This isn't you filming a segment here.
He had the
Like
camera.
I'm ready.
He
I'm
definitely
ready
had the
to beat.
camera on.
I'm ready to beat your ass because it's 7-on-1." And listen, if
Yeah.
7 people approached me in a locker room like that after I just
Yeah.
unloaded on them and they're coming in, barging in the locker room,
Let's bring it first too.
I'm probably ready to fight. And I'm not a fighter, but I would have
Yeah.
to be on guard, especially when I'm in the room with my dog in and a female who's not my wife.
Yeah. That's the one part that's not being brought up at all. I've noticed all the jokes about Ace Steel. His wife was involved. There's a reason why he got involved. His wife was in the room.
His wife was in the room.
So of course, if you see this nonsense going on around you, what are you going to do?
And there's 7 probably blocking your view of what's going on.
Yeah,
You're gonna go nuts.
things happen. Emotions get high.
That's why the
Unfortunately,
people that say, "Oh, CM Punk should be fired because the media, what he said during the media scrum," I think we forget that he didn't start the the word
yeah,
war here. He did
yeah.
not. It started with Hangman.
And I've
It
seen a lot of
started with
people.
the dirt sheets.
They try to say, "Oh, that wasn't that bad for what Hangman said from the whatever." The point being, this is how he took it. We're not saying it's right or wrong. I know I've heard they all the big wigs, Meltzer, Sean Ross Sapp all said, "Oh no, they weren't leaking that stuff to me. It wasn't them."
Listen,
But
John Ross Sapp over the last 8 months to a year has really become a shield. Like
yeah,
I used to really respect him, but he's become very much like Meltzer and Alvarez, and he
hmm
wasn't like that. All of a sudden, over the last year, Sean Ross Sapp has become just like them. Just like them. He used to be a man of the people and with some integrity. And he's all about the political correctness now. Like, oh, that was unprofessional of Punk to go out there and do that. Okay, you know what else is not politically correct in something you should do? When you're attacking and confronting, what was the guy's name at the convention? Remember when they got into the altercation? Sean Ross Sapp? Who, mind you, that guy also not a cool guy, not a nice guy, but you want to talk about doing something in a public setting like CM Punk did. You also did something in a public setting at a convention with people with all these cell phones. They know who Sean Ross Sapp is from the internet wrestling community that's all at this convention. And you decided to walk up to him and get face to face with them. Well, the dude is with his kid. But then you're going to crucify CM Punk for what he did. It's very hypocritical.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really followed. All I know over the last year, he's become more prominent. It's just, like you said, it's a show. And to me, he's just like the king of these clickbait. Oh, go to my paywall so you can see all this exclusive news, and it's just more nonsense.
But then 5 hours later, it gets revealed anyway. So what?
2 minutes later, somebody's. I don't know why anybody subscribes to this guy. To be honest, I know someone who does. I'm like, really? I'm like, you're going to see it 30 seconds later on the internet somewhere. But the point being is
Bill Beatty. Bill Beatty.
Okay. The point being that they can say, "Oh well, they weren't leaking stuff to us." I don't buy that.
And granted, Bill said a lot of stuff about Sapp and females that travel around with Sapp that are his friends. I understand that, but if you want to sit there and crucify CM Punk for doing something out in the public, you did the same exact thing. Come on now.
I think we know this stuff was going to get out, but the fact that this many details got out so quickly, I guess when there's a big something going on, somebody's going to see it and say something. But like I said, there's two stories. It's somewhere more in the middle. The point is, all of them should be suspended for getting involved in a fight, no matter whose fault it was. And
if one person gets fired, they all should get fired.
Exactly.
That's my thing, too.
Yeah, we agree on that. I don't think... And it's funny how fast people are ready to jump on Punk. And the funny thing is, when he was coming back, I kept saying, I was a fan for a long time, but some of the stuff he's done since he left, the fact that he left the way he did, I'm supposed to jump back and welcome and open arms when he left us.
Yeah.
I know he had that whole promo, and I'm like, still. And I always looked at it, and now all of a sudden, a lot of those same people are turning around. Oh, he's no good. See what he did? Because but a lot of those people are just maybe even like Meltzer, Alvarez, Sapp. They're just all like fanboys of Kenny and the Bucks. That's all this is.
But they're only fanboys because they're obviously getting fed some information.
They're getting something in return. They're getting access, and they're feeling they're part of it because they're in with these guys. And that's it.
Even I don't think we said this on the air last episode, but you have Busted Open, you have Dave LaGreca and Bully Ray sitting there and crucifying CM Punk for what he did. The only reason they're doing that is because Mark Henry is part of Busted Open, who has an AEW contract. They're not going to talk out against Tony Khan and the Elite. Right. They're not going to make an awkward situation. So it's easier to point the finger at Punk. Also, they want access to the talent roster to do interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it, but don't say that you guys are unbiased journalists, because you're not. You're not unbiased journalists. If anything, me and Frank are, because we're as transparent as we could possibly be. All we do is we look at the tea leaves and we try to connect the dots. And we go, well, okay, Punk was wrong in this aspect. However, he's not wrong to defend himself. And bottom line, was it the time and place? Maybe not. Maybe not. But it was clearly something that he had to get out there.
They
And
needed
that's,
the
and
more
that's what
public way to
happened.
do it.
You don't
And,
need to go and barge in the guy's locker room and make it seem like you're going to attack him.
You've made it worse. If anything, you should have left.
Waited, or said, Tony, you know what? We need
to
another meeting with the whole locker room, and we're going to have to air this out in front
but
of the
not
whole
tonight when emotions are high. Yeah. If you're going to be an executive in a company, you got to act like an executive, not just one of the boys.
And who's to say that Punk also knew he was going to be out, and he knew this was the only time and place that he was going to get what he wanted to say out.
And he sat, and he was, and I still keep saying he was sitting there next to his boss, who kind of didn't say anything.
No, and Bully Ray said, "Well, you're saying all this stuff about management and this, and you're insulting your own boss." And it's like, well, no, he's not insulting him.
No.
He's giving legit criticism that it needs to be heard. It needs to be heard. This company,
he wasn't talking about Tony at all. He was talking about other people in the company.
This company has struggled to get above 1 million fans on a weekly basis. Guess what? Punk comes back and they're over 1 million every single week.
Yeah.
And I like Jericho and I like Danielson, and to a certain extent, I like Moxley, but those guys are not, for whatever reason, they're not the same draw as Punk is.
I mean, it's obvious. It makes sense. He came back and drew over 1 million people on a late night on a Friday night for his return.
Yep.
A lot of people are getting a little butthurt about it, saying, well, these guys, it's this weird thing where like the fans of the company are like, but they want to stick to the guys who were there first,
they created it. Yeah, they created their backyard wrestling club where only certain people were allowed in. That's basically what they did.
And because of their connections, they were just validated.
Yeah,
because of their exploits in Japan, because of their exploits on the indie scene. Which
so
is
bottom
again,
line, the fallout is Trios Championship vacated. I almost said WCW title vacated.
Yeah.
AEW title vacated.
So we've got a new. They already filled the Trios champs.
That's how much they care about that title.
Whatever.
They crown new champions.
Pac has 2 belts that nobody cares about now. And now we've got a little.
Yeah, you know what he is? You know what he's called now? Tupac.
So we've got a little tournament going, mini tournament up to Grand Slam. So next week we got the semifinals. So we got, what is it? It's Jericho and Danielson, Moxley and Sammy Guevara for some reason.
Let me tell you something. I am really agitated that Darby. If I was booking this, I'm going to play Booker. I'm going to play. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pretend I'm Tony Khan fantasy Booker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why wouldn't we just have Darby advance to the final? Just have Darby advance to the final. Have him against Jericho. Have Darby win. Have Darby win the tournament. Have MJF come out, cash in his chip, beat Darby. Boom. At least that way you've built up Darby again in one tournament. Darby looks fresh again.
Mm-hmm.
In no way does he feel buried because he just won a tournament where he went over Guevara, Moxley, and Jericho.
Oh, and MJF. I don't know. Can he cash in? I guess technically they have it in the past.
Anytime, any place.
Yeah, they haven't gone there yet. The first couple times it was just done as a pre. But I guess
said anytime, any place.
He's gonna, and we know MJF will lawyer up. So yeah, I don't know. Darby, like I said, instead he lost a match last night to Sammy that nobody cared about at that point because after Dynamite.
No, because we already knew who was going to win the match. Because
who was doing the match?
Yes,
I mean, even I know I had friends there. I had the guys from Up Next. I had Brady and Davey there. They were saying, the crowd by that point after Dynamite, everybody's tired. I know. I was at Grand Slam last year, and they had a 2-hour Rampage, which apparently is happening again this year. You get kind of tired after. And it was a great Dynamite show. I will give that. The way they handled it, I thought A lot of people were complaining he didn't really go into details, but he did what he had to do. I think it was smart to do it pre-taped segment like that. Just announce what's
But
happening.
here's the difference between Tony Khan and Vince McMahon. The Montreal Screwjob happened, right?
Yeah.
And Vince could have ignored it, right? It was probably people said it's in your best interest to ignore what happened. But he did it, and it spawned even greater heights for his company by taking it head on with Brett Screwed Brett, Vince coming out with the black eye, and that pre-taped interview that happened.
Well, it launched his whole heel run.
I think the fans, even your eight on both sides, the AEW loyalists, the CM Punk supporters, and I would say the people in between, but there was really no in between. I think just like there was a far elite side and there was a far Punk side.
Right.
They deserved some sort of explanation or a press release saying, hey, CM Punk, this Ace Steel, and all of these guys involved
it's weird, right?
Have been
suspended or whatever.
And CM Punk during his match he did a toupee, suicida.
He didn't even mention his name, let alone that he was injured. Just said the titles are being vacated.
He didn't say any of their names. They were taken out of the vignettes.
Yeah, very strange. Because I mean, in the past, he has answered some stuff. Like if a recent example is when they booked Brian Kendrick on Dynamite, and some stuff came, and somebody pointed out some of the stuff he said in the past, and Tony immediately went online and made a statement: "We're taking him off the show. This is why."
To me, it doesn't make sense to not.
I mean, when Sammy got suspended, he did a statement.
Listen, I think Dynamite had. What was the ratings for Dynamite? They had 1.2 million tune into Dynamite this week.
They had their best demo in like how many months, something like that. Yeah,
which is one of the highest viewed Dynamites ever.
Yeah.
Why do you think they were tuning in? They want to know what the F happened. You could even flash on the screen. Here is a press release.
Yeah.
You literally said nothing.
They kind of just wanted to move on and like move the show on, which as a show it did fine because you were able to move on to the next step and like a direction. Where
it was cool. You had MJF come out. That the opening segment was awesome. Moxley had one of his best promos in a very long time. I respect the fact that he stepped up. Him, Jericho, and Danielson. They led yet another meeting in the locker room. Moxley delayed his vacation, which now that we know he delayed his vacation, I think they're tipping their hat that Moxley's going to win the belt again at Grand Slam. I think that's what's going to happen now.
I think there's a good chance, yeah. Unless, so do you think that Jericho's going to beat Danielson again and face Moxley, or you think it's going to be Jericho?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the thing that Moxley's going over there. Even though I think one of your ideas was to put the title on Jericho, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I would either put it on Jericho or Darby. That would have been, and to have Darby like lose it immediately.
I don't have a problem with him putting it on Moxley. Obviously, he's been hot lately, but it's just so weird because it's been back and forth. The interim, then he was the undisputed. Now he's lost it. Now he's going to win it again.
He's a better chaser than champion.
I know people are rallying behind him because of that promo. Like a lot of people are jumping on his side because again, it's this whole thing where he's one, even though he's not an AEW guy first, he was one of the first guys there.
The promo that he did reminded me of in 2002 when Austin walked out and he didn't want the match against Lesnar to happen, and The Rock came back unexpectedly and said, "This here is my home." That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah,
it was a very good promo. But and it's funny considering The Rock, he didn't have much time left after that. But if you want to put the belt on Moxley, that's fine. But I feel like they're really just holding off the inevitable. You have MJF, who literally could be the most popular wrestler in the world, or he could be the most hated at a turn of a dime. No one has control like that right now. You cannot squander this man. And
Yeah, you
you know
don't
what
have
I
a lot
like?
of time here.
You know what I like? The little group that Stokely has built up around him.
I do, although they didn't have any kind of interaction this week, so I'm wondering what's going on with that.
I I think as time progresses, you'll see how they're going to play into this whole
Yeah.
thing. But
You got to strike now. You're right. You got to strike. We don't, there's no guarantees he's going to be around after another year. I know. And besides, if you do strike with him, maybe he'll catch fire. Maybe he'll want to re-sign them.
yeah, maybe he wants to re-sign with the company.
The worst case scenario, he doesn't. But you give him a strong run, have him put over somebody new, strong, and you can make a star.
Or he's getting cheered, right? Let's just say he wins the belt. He becomes the fan favorite without really changing anything about his personality.
Yeah.
Punk comes back and beats him. How hated would Punk be
for beating him? Yeah.
For beating him.
Do it in New York too. Do it in Long Island.
I just think it's, as much as people don't like Punk right now, there's just so much story there.
Yeah.
And there's not that much story with the Elite. The Elite, I'm going to be honest with you. This whole thing with the Elite is played out. Yeah. It's so played. Adam Cole was one of the best professional wrestlers on the... He still is one of the best professional wrestlers on the planet. He comes to AEW last year, and he's completely cooled down. Completely cooled down.
He's cooled down. I don't know if he's injured now. They build, like, they tease a feud here. Now he's injured. Kyle's injured. Bobby Fish, apparently his contract expired. I don't know what's going on.
I think with Fish, they didn't want to keep him under contract while the other two weren't around.
They've been kind of everything in a holding pattern. It's like this whole last 6 months was like they were waiting for Kenny to come back. It's like for these titles, they were waiting for Kenny, and then he comes back. People get injured. There's a fight. There's suspensions. It's just
or all he did was save the Larry. Yeah, he got bit by Ace Steel and not Larry.
Still, it's been a rough week for Kenny.
But
like Cole comes in last year at the end of that show. Him and Danielson, he's hot. He does get a pay-per-view with Hangman, but
he loses.
To make up for that, we'll give you this Owen Hart tournament win that means nothing. Yay. Yep. Now I don't know what's going on with him.
He's not even in this title tournament.
No, he's not even he's not even mentioned. He's like, I don't know is he still injured? I don't even know what's going on with him.
It's what I mean.
I understand why he made the move when he did.
It made sense.
In hindsight, if he knew what was coming in the future, I don't think that would have happened.
In the future is now DX literally runs all of creative in WWE.
Right. His favorite wrestlers, the guys
Triple
that
H
love
got
him.
elevated, and then Shawn took Triple H's position.
Yeah, in fact, Triple H had a new title created for him this week. He got somebody responsibility. They literally created a new title for him.
Yeah, so Shawn could take his job.
Yeah.
And now Road Dogg is back in the company.
Right.
It remains to be seen who's going to actually fully take over NXT.
Mm-hmm.
But it sucks that Regal left.
Yeah. Oh, Regal would have definitely, if he wasn't doing anything right now, he would have had him back in 5 seconds as his right-hand man, as his Patterson or whatever you want to call him.
That is his Patterson.
You know?
How much do you think Regal's probably kicking himself at this point? I mean, he's probably having fun with
getting to do some
Danielson and Mox and stuff, but
commentary, flirting with Excalibur for whatever reason. He's pretty funny, but I don't know. I'm sure. And he respects him so much. If he was available, he would have taken the spot.
And leave some comments down below about everything we've mentioned.
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people that probably wish they weren't under contract right now. And if they start releasing people, or letting people be released,
A couple WWE related things that we have to talk about before we sign off this recording. Yeah. Pat McAfee, his commentary position's on hold because he took a job with College Game Day. At least it's on hold because I really enjoy him and Cole on commentary. There's a certain magic there. Obviously, they've become really close outside of the ring as well, and it shows on mic. It's very much reminiscent of Gorilla and Heenan because they were like real life close friends. Same thing with McAfee and Cole. And who did they have on commentary? Because I didn't have commentary on last night.
They had Graves on for the week. I don't know if he's the permanent. I think they just.
I think he is. I do not like Graves doing both shows.
No, if you're going to do that, then just put him on SmackDown with Cole for now. He can do that. He can lean heel. Cole, and then you got. Well, you have to get somebody else for Raw because I don't think Byron and the other guy can really.
On SmackDown, they should just have. They should just have Paul Heyman on commentary.
No, you could do that. I mean, we've got some options. I still don't like
JBL to come back.
JBL, they tease.
Yeah, Booker.
Booker's out there. They did. I mean, Wade's been doing NXT, but if they wanted to call up, I wouldn't mind it.
Please do not, because I know someone will comment or someone will have this conversation with me. Please do not say Mauro Ranallo.
No,
I'm done with that guy.
I don't see that happening anyway.
Here's the problem. I'm very open with my mental health and anxiety and depression struggles that I've had. But literally, if one comment is made towards Mauro Ranallo, that's even legit criticism, that's it. He can't take it. He can't physically take it. I feel bad for him, but no company is going to hire him at this point. Contractually to do week-to-week television. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. There's other options out there. Like I said, you have Nigel who's been doing NXT UK. He's not doing anything right now.
Nigel's great.
He's great. I can see him on Raw. He can do it. Or if you want to put him on SmackDown.
I like Wade, but I think he's fine in NXT.
Yeah, he's doing a good job there.
What about Road Dogg?
On commentary? Haven't really tried that before.
I just don't like having Graves on both shows.
Yeah, I don't. I think they need to spice up the commentary on Raw anyway because
Jimmy is horrible.
He's just not. I mean, he's better than the other guy they hired briefly. What was his name?
Adnan Virk.
Yeah, Virk. He was really bad. He's not much better. He's enthusiastic, but it just doesn't work for like a 3-hour program.
Did they have Robert Flores at all at one point or no?
I don't think so. But Byron's not great, but he can play off somebody. You know, him and Graves play off each other fine. But yeah, Jimmy doesn't really add anything. They don't really need to have a 3-man booth. I don't think it's necessary.
Robert Flores actually likes professional wrestling. I would have hired him in a heartbeat when they hired Adnan Virk. Because Flores he works for MLB Network. It is a studio host. But
I know him,
he's not doing as much as he used to, as he did with ESPN. I think he would be a better fit than Jimmy.
Yeah. A lot of people would be better fit than Jimmy, but yeah, that was kind of an odd Vince hire. I don't know. He always wanted somebody that's a legit, sports broadcaster.
Oh, it's weird because he hit a grand slam with McAfee on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And then struck out with Adnan Virk. That didn't work out right away. And then Jimmy, it's just like literally people don't even know his name still.
Yeah, he's just a guy that makes random comments on the side. McAfee's great. I knew that in a minute. He showed up at NXT, did guest commentary, whatever promos he did. The guy just gets this. He loves it. Like you said, him and Cole, obviously close. They were having fun before, like the new regime, but now you can see it's even more. Cole
That's why they said it was on hold. That's why they didn't say, hey,
he's coming back. I can't blame him for taking this opportunity. Pat loves football, so I can't blame him for taking the opportunity. He doesn't really need the money. He's making really good money with his podcast.
And he tried, and he even said, "He's like, I could do both if you guys want. It's just going to be tough." And Triple H was like, "No, man." He's like, "We're not going to let you like work yourself to death and pass or potentially pass on this kind of opportunity."
Honestly, it's good for him. It's good for them because they can say, "Hey, he's only here whatever months because he's doing college football. That's a legit broadcaster. It's what they love to show, right? So there you go. You can find somebody to fill in for the next couple of months, wherever that may be, and then when he's ready." I mean, obviously, I think we'll see him do another match, maybe in Mania. We'll see, but
maybe against Graves. Maybe this starts the storyline with him and Graves. Hey, Graves taking his seat. Graves doesn't want to give up the seat. Well, I don't know. Fun. Graves is cleared to wrestle.
Right, so that'd be fun.
All right, guys. I think that's all for this recording. This is our longest episode to date. We miss you, Charlie. We love you. Hope everything is going well for you. We should have, as far as a look back in time, we have WrestleMania 13 dropping on the 13th. Coincidentally, on September 13th, WrestleMania 13 is dropping. I had to fix the episode. We had a copyright claim via WWE for something that I put in the episode. So highly controversial episode. And now this is like my third or fourth time I've had to trim stuff in episodes, either from AEW or WWE at this point, which is, it's just funny how copyright stuff works, what they allow and not allow. We appreciate everyone. Please hit the like button if you haven't. Comment. Let us know your thoughts on AEW, WWE, the world of professional wrestling. I know we have some people that don't even watch today's product and watch this show. That's cool. We appreciate it. Frank, anything you want to say to the audience?
Just to echo your sentiments, yes, keep liking, sharing, commenting. Let us know what you think. We love you. We love talking about wrestling, baseball, whatever. But specifically today, wrestling. We could talk all day. It's been a long episode. Thank you guys for sticking with us.
Yep. And be on the lookout. We do have the podcast version of this show, which we haven't uploaded since the first couple episodes, but we are working on a game plan to get a majority of the episodes uploaded again. Thank you so much. Good night and good luck. We'll see you on the flip side.